The final enemy, fear of death. Hi, I'm Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind. Today we're addressing something that is a common enemy we all face. That final enemy, the fear of death. Notice I didn't say death. I said the fear of death. That's because death is a natural inevitability. Of course, there are certain segments of our society that are trying to eliminate death. One method is the program where for a few $100,000, they can freeze your body in the hopes that it can be revived later when a cure for whatever disease is ailing you has been found. Another method is to eventually be able to upload your consciousness into a computer so that you can continue to live on. That scenario has been shown in several movies and TV series, and there's one Netflix series called Altered Carbon, in which they've uploaded the consciousness into computer, and then it is downloaded into a different body whenever the old body wears out. Then there was also a movie called Transcendence. It was a movie with Johnny Depp, and in that movie, Johnny Depp's character uploaded his consciousness into a supercomputer. And then he was able to control everything around himself. And he kind of went a little crazy and became very destructive in his control. Of course, the motivation here is to stay alive on the physical plane, because they believe that being alive on the physical plane is much, much better than facing death. But is it really? Is it? Or are these people merely demonstrating their deep-seated and overwhelming fear of death? Please click on the thumbs up button if you haven't already done so. Please choose to subscribe. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments and your shares, so if you could please use the chat box, which is on the right side of the screen, or the comment section, which is below the video, then please let me know what you think. Let me know about any questions you may have or any experiences you may share. Okay? Remember, thumbs up. So, back to work. So the physical body, our physical bodies, wear out, or they get damaged to the point that they're no longer functional in sustaining life. So at some point, we have to let that body go. Just like we have to let an automobile go that's in a state that no longer serves us, or an electric fan that no longer works, or a computer that no longer is functioning the way we need for it to function. Admittedly, that's a rather unsympathetic way to look at our relationship with our bodies, but hey, that's reality. The truth is, we are not our bodies. We occupy our bodies, but we're bigger than our bodies. We are spiritual beings who are having a human experience. We are greater than our bodies. You know, in the Hindu religion, there's a concept called Maya, M-A-Y-A, Maya. Maya means illusion. Now, in a philosophical sense, it refers to illusion or unreality which hides from us the reality of infinite intelligence, the reality of our own essential nature. We are spiritual beings. Under the influence of Maya, we're hypnotized into believing that we are only physical beings, subject to aging and death. But we're more than that. We're more than that. We've been blinded to the truth that we are immortal souls who continue to live after we have dropped this limited existence of our physical bodies. Our bodies are necessary, yes, for us to function on this physical world, in this physical plane. Our bodies are necessary here, but they are not who we are. Remember that. They are not who we are. We live in a physical world, and as long as we are living in this physical world, the forces that operate on our lives and on our bodies are physical forces, and we have to adhere to that. But eventually, time runs out. But we're so terrified of leaving the comfort of that familiar human body, which is all we actually know consciously, that we will do anything, no matter what, to stay in it. But as our 32nd President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. Life continues after death. Our loved ones continue on after they leave us, and they often return to us to assist us in our lives or to bring us information we may need in our lives. They come back. They're still alive. A few months ago, I lost my younger son to death. About a month later, I was at a church service where a medium told me that a woman in spirit was beside me. She had my son in hand and wanted to let me know that he was okay. Then she described this woman to me for the sake of identification. The description she gave me fit perfectly one of my ex-wives who had passed away about 18 months ago. Now, she didn't know that I had been married before. She didn't know about my previous marriages. She never met my ex-wife. She never even saw my ex-wife. Yet, she was able to perfectly describe her to me, the woman who was standing next to me in spirit. Last year, again while I was in church service, a medium relayed a message to me from an old friend. When she described to me the old friend, the description perfectly fit one of the ministers who served with me at the Church of Amron in San Francisco, all the way down to the unique hat he always wore. She saw him standing next to me, delivering that message. He had passed away over 25 years ago, so I don't think she met him. Then, a couple of days ago, I was in a conversation with one of my fellow ministers, who's also a medium, and he asked me if I knew that my son was with me a lot, because my son was standing right next to me during our conversation. My son, who had passed away back in May. Death is not the end. There is no need to fear it. There's no need to fight it as if it's a gruesome enemy. There's no need. Dr. Christopher Kerr, a medical doctor and the CEO at Hospice Buffalo in New York State, has written a book entitled Death is But a Dream. Now, a hospice is a type of healthcare facility that focuses on the care of the terminally ill patient. Hospice facilities prioritize comfort and quality of life for patients by reducing the pain and suffering and attending to their emotional and spiritual needs at the end of their lives. And what they've learned at the hospice over the decades of dedicated service was that as these patients approached death, about 2 weeks before they departed, they began to see their previously departed loved ones, their friends, their relatives. They began to see them and have conversation with them. Their relatives and friends had come back, had returned to help them through the death process. Their interactions with these spirits usually saw them enter an altered state of consciousness, sort of a dream state, where they were no longer aware of their physical surroundings and totally focused on their loved ones and talking to them and sharing time with them, which is why the title of the book is Death is But a Dream. So facing death with the erroneous belief that the physical world is all there is can be a terrifying experience. I agree. That can be terrifying, but that ain't true. I remember caring for a member of my congregation a number of years ago in a church I served in California. He was a man who had no family and was a very cynical person. He didn't believe in anything, which is interesting that he was coming to my church. Anyway, he didn't believe in life after death, and he refused to accept the concept. Now, I remember during his final stay in the hospital, he began having conversations with old friends who showed up from the other side, from the spiritual side, to help him cross over. His interactions with them would be pleasant and positive. He really was pleased when he was talking with them. But when he came back to physical consciousness, he totally rejected his experiences with them. He claimed they were hallucinations and therefore not valid. So when the time came for me to finally agree to take him off life support, he was so terrified of death that his body literally froze with fear. The muscles went rigid. He was like stiff as a board. And so a team of us ministers, a couple of other ministers and me, worked on him for several hours to try and heal his intense fear and relax him. We applied hands-on healing, talking to him. We were feeding him loving energy, everything we could to try and bring him to a state of peace, to a state of acceptance, to a state where he could relax, where he could stop hanging on so dearly to life that he refused, physical life that is, that he refused to let go. Finally, after several intense hours, he began to relax. He began to let go of his fear. He began to accept what we were giving him. And you know what? Within an hour after he relaxed, he was able to pass over. Within an hour. Now, one of the ministers that was working with me, he was also a medium, mentally reached out a few hours later to contact him. And when she did contact him, when she finally located him, he was with his old Army buddies having a high old time, a great time. He was very relaxed and he was totally content. And he told her that he wished he had done this a lot sooner, that he wished he had let go a lot sooner instead of hanging on for dear life for so long. Because he discovered life on the other side is still life. Our society is energized by fear. Our society is captivated by fear. It seems to thrive on the dark energy of fear. The news is full of fear pandering. The majority of movies being released these days seem to be horror movies. The most popular shows on TV are either zombie programs or programs that are focused on the darker sides of life, featuring rape and murder and mind-numbing violence, perversion. There is very little being presented over our media outlets that reinforce the truth of our connection to spirit, our connection to God or infinite intelligence. No, very little. Fear is pulling us down into the physical and locking us in to the physical, and it's trying to cut out the spiritual. Our physical perceptions of reality are a very narrow perspective. Narrow, very narrow. Keeping your consciousness down at the physical level, down here on the ground, cuts you off from the truth of your being, from the truth of who and what you really are. You are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. So in order to overcome that narrow, dark perspective of fear, it's important to stay strongly connected to your spiritual self, to your spiritual consciousness, to understand that not only are you an individualized expression of infinite intelligence, but that you are always connected to infinite intelligence, because infinite intelligence is you. Infinite intelligence is expressing as you. It is important that you eventually learn to know beyond doubt that God, or universal consciousness, or infinite intelligence is always with you. As long as you stay in a state of peace, you cannot be shaken. You can't be shaken. One thing we need to be aware of, however, is that most people don't have that understanding. You know, I'm only talking to 1% of you I know. Most people think they're in this life all alone. You spiritual warriors know that's not true, but most people believe that they are all alone in this life. So that makes them vulnerable. It makes them frightened. So as spiritual warriors, it is up to us to help those around us to rise above this morass of darkness and fear. It's up to us to help them. And we help them by bringing them into the light. So let's get beyond the fear and begin to understand our true nature and our true power. Our time is here, now. Our time in this physical life is merely temporary. Our time as spiritual warriors is here, now. This is a training ground in which we can begin to learn the power of infinite intelligence to overcome Maya. M-A-Y-A, Maya, illusion of reality. We can overcome that. Each and every one of us is an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. Each and every one of us is an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. I know you get tired of me saying that, but it is true. Everything that exists is a vibrational expression of infinite intelligence. It is not solid. It is not impenetrable. Everything is vibrating, including you. And as vibrational beings, our vibrations are controlled and influenced by the combination of our brains and our hearts. But the big news is our electromagnetic field is over 5,000 times greater in strength than the field generated by our brain, and our electromagnetic field extends outward from us by several feet, and it can be measured. We are generating an electromagnetic field so strong that it can be measured several feet away from the body in all directions. So that means that if you're standing within a few feet of somebody else, your heart waves, your electromagnetic heart waves are intermixing with their heart waves. But your heart waves are probably stronger because you've been focused, you've been learning, you've been getting stronger and more connected. And so yours are stronger. And since yours are stronger, think about this. You can positively influence their lives because you are encasing them, immersing them in your aura of love. Your aura of love is surrounding them and encompassing them. Your heart is continuously generating the electromagnetic waves of love all around you that are proclaiming your state of emotional peace. So you're subconsciously influencing people near you. You are. And because you are, it is your duty to lift them up with love. Because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what's happening around them. They don't know that their heart is generating this field. They don't know. They think they're alone. But you do know. You know who you are. You know that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence, and that with that knowledge, your heart is transmitting this powerful electromagnetic field that is filled with love, peace, harmony, and it can uplift those around you. You are a spiritual warrior, and you know that infinite intelligence are real. you know that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. You know that you are generating love, energy out from your heart. You know that you are bathing those around you in the vibration of love and spiritual energy. Oh, how powerful you really are. Do you know how powerful you really are? You are uplifting them just by virtue of your very presence. How powerful you really are. So spiritual warriors, let us take the world to a much higher level, a much more powerful level, a level that could help change our world, where we can step away from the fear of death that makes us act so irrationally and step instead into an understanding that life goes on continually past our physical experience, past this world of pain and suffering and fear, but with access to joy and peace and love. Yeah. Let's close with prayer. Thank you, infinite intelligence. Thank you for bringing all of us together in this life so that we may become spiritual warriors and join in the work we have come here to do. Thank you, infinite intelligence, for bringing us into this space of awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. And because we are part of the greater whole, we're beginning to understand our value through the continuity of life on this planet. As we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your presence within ourselves and within our lives more and more. We know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise, because we are no longer cut off from you by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness, knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain that we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who have inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger, and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this, we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Please remember to click on the thumbs up button below, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. And I'd love to have your comments, your thoughts, your questions. Please use the comments section below the video. I'd love to hear from you. Again, thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for watching. I am Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this has been On the Wings of Your Mind.